Welcome to Hockey Nights in Vegas, episode 88. My name is Eddie Rivkin. I'm joined as always by Chris Chapman of Fox Sports Las Vegas and the Vegas Golden Knights pre- and post-game show. This episode, like all others, is brought to you by the Las Vegas Advisor, LasVegasAdvisor.com, by my good friend Dr. John Pierce at AgelessForever.net, and by the greatest attorney in all the land. That's Chapman's attorney, Joe, at Marathon Law Group. If you take a look at that face, I see criminal. You need
Yeah.
you're a criminal and you need help. You need to talk to the Marathon Law Group because that guy over there, that way,
Yeah, that way.
That's the face of a felon right there.
No felony convictions, but we won't talk about the other stuff that might be hiding on my my FBI background report.
MarathonLawGroup.com, folks. I'm in a chipper mood today, and I have no fucking idea why. But let's start with a riddle, Chapman.
Riddle me this.
What do the Vegas Golden Knights and a roulette wheel have in common?
I don't know.
Neither go above the number 36. And that's the segue to Braden McNabb's new 3-year deal, $3.65 million, gets him up to the conclusion of his age 36 season. Kind of just reinforces the point that we made about Marchessault and other players as they age. Clearly, the Golden Knights are not interested in letting people age out their contracts too far, unlike other clubs. Personally, my opinion, I think that McNabb deal is fantastic. I think he's the first misfit to retire as a Golden Knight. And I couldn't be happier. He's such a humble, nice, soft-spoken, well-spoken, thoughtful guy in the room. I think it's great he got a little bump and some security for him and his wife and his new baby. And I'm really happy for him.
Yeah, and should point out that Alex Pietrangelo will have 2 years remaining on his deal after this year. And guess what age he will be when that deal expires?
36.
Yep.
Maybe 37, but his age 36 season.
Yeah. So I think you kind of nailed it. It's
that's the hard ceiling.
Yeah, this team has a formula. They believe in that formula. It's won them a Stanley Cup once. It has the potential because I certainly think that they have a couple more years of an open window of being a Stanley Cup contender. So for Nabber, he was the first guy who signed an extension with the Golden Knights. He signed another extension in the middle, and now he has signed his third extension with the Vegas Golden Knights. He was one of the guys after the expansion draft that they brought to Las Vegas to introduce to the fans. So Braden McNabb was actually one of the very first Golden Knights we ever got to speak to. The other three?
Clayton Stoner. I think it was Clayton Stoner.
No, never even met Clayton Stoner, but
he wore number 4.
Marc-Andre Fleury was one.
Right.
Jason Garrison
was
the other. And the third was James. No, it wasn't James Neal.
I don't think it was James Neal. He's not really fit for public consumption.
No, shit. No, I don't remember who it was. McNabb, Fleury, and Jason Garrison. And the fourth, I don't know. But
well, there you go, folks. Answer the trivia question. Who was the fourth of the original Golden Knights to appear on stage with Mr. Foley? First correct answer gets 10 free entries into the next ticket giveaway contest. Look at me. Have my meds kicked in? Am I just the happiest Eddie that anybody has seen in 88 episodes? I have no idea where this is coming from.
And if I think of it, I won't say it now.
No, don't. The Golden Knights are 18 games in. For conversation's sake, that's a quarter of the way. Right. A couple of teams are over 20. They're getting ready to go on the long road trip. So let's be the first podcast media outlet organization to do the report card, the quarter season report card. Professors Chapman and Rivkin are going to break down all elements of the Golden Knights game through 18 games. We're going to assign them grades. And I think that we should just do this straight, not on a bell curve. Let's not compare it to previous seasons, but we should sort of sprinkle a little bit with what we thought versus their expectations going into the year. So let's use that as sort of a little bit of a guide. How they're doing now compared to how they're doing when we did the opening episode, 1 a.m. after March or so, and the expectations for this year. We're going to keep our answers brief, Chapman. No long soliloquies. We have 1, 2, 3, 5, 7. We have a lot of topics to get to, and we are on an incredible track of doing episodes in 45 or 50 minutes. So we're off. The record, 11 wins, 5 losses, 2 losses in overtime, 24 points. First in the Pacific Division, 1 point ahead of the, I'll say it, surprising Los Angeles Kings. 18 games in, how they doing?
Well, I think they've exceeded my expectations for the simple reason that I really didn't know what this team was going to be post Jonathan Marchessault, post Chandler Stevenson, post Logan Thompson, post Michael Amadio, post William Carrier. So I'm sure I forgot someone too. But I didn't know what we were going to see from the Golden Knights, especially early on. They started out well, scoring a lot of goals. They go on the road. Victor Olofsson gets hurt, right? He was supposed to be one of the answers to your goal scoring question marks. He gets hurt. What, fourth game of the season? And he was playing really, really well. That road trip, they kind of struggled, came home with I would say with their tail between their legs. But overall, I would say that my expectations of what this team was or was going to be has exceeded because I really didn't know what the expectations I was going to place on them were. I knew they weren't going to suck, but I also didn't know if they were going to be really good. And there's areas of their game that are very, very, very good and very impressive. So I think my expectations, they have by far exceeded them, Eddie.
I'm going to say, I agree with you 100%. We had no idea what the hell we were getting into this year. So I think for them to have gone through dominant at home, awful on the road, and then things sort of mitigating, they're 8-2 at home, 3-3-2 on the road. So basically a 500 club on the road. I think overall, I'm pretty happy with where they are. I don't know that I'm surprised because I drink from the cult of Cassidy cup of Kool-Aid. Wow, say that 3 times fast. And I believe that he can coach and will coach them into being the best version of themselves. So overall, I would say they probably exceeded their expectations. We don't need to put a grade on these, but I just wanted to talk about the big view before we get down to the minutia and things like that. So we both believe they probably did better than we expected they would be through the first quarter.
Right.
And it's a bit of a pleasant surprise sprinkled with some disappointments and underperformances. That fair?
Yeah, and look, they've had some adversity that they've had to deal with too, and I think
surprisingly a lot of adversity.
Yeah, so I think when you factor all that in, it's been a really good start to the season for the Golden Knights.
Okay, the professors are officially in the classroom grading papers. We'll alternate going first, so you go first with the offense.
Well, I think it's been really good. You look at how many goals they've scored. I think how many guys are scoring goals, how many guys are on the verge of career years. Brett Howden is having a career season. He's going to smash his goals total for a career high in a season. Keegan Colasar, he's going to smash his career high in goals for a season. Pavel Dorofeyev may score 30 freaking goals. So, and by the way, Jack Eichel, I put the low number at 90 points. He's probably going to go over, if he stays healthy, he's probably going over 110 points. So I think the offense has been really good. I think they miss a few things, But overall, Eddie, I've been very impressed with the offense. So I can't quite go A. I'm going to go B plus.
I'm going to go A minus for the offense. Like you said, the big takeaways from the offense for me are the number of people who have scored. I believe it's 16, and they're leading the NHL. Their goals per game is a little bit over 4 right now. It's second or third behind the upstart Washington Capitals, who laid the smackdown on them a few nights ago at T-Mobile. But Alex Ovechkin leading the league in goals with 15, hurt and week to week. So we're going to find out exactly what the Capitals are made of. But listen, everybody's filling the net. And the singular biggest question that we had, Chris, when we got into the season is where the hell is the secondary scoring going to come from? Who's going to step up? And holy mackerel, I don't know what they fed Brett Howden in the offseason, right? But the kid is just, not only is he in the right place in the right time and finishing, he's putting himself in the right place. He's grinding harder than we've ever seen him. He's always been durable, up and down the lineup. Anything,
tough kid.
Anything we've ever asked of him, anything Butch has ever asked of him, he's delivered. But man, oh man, he's 1 goal away from his career high of 8.
Yeah.
And we're 18 games into an 82 game season. He's the sneaky surprise MVP for sure. So
Well,
I'm going to go ahead.
Here is something, and you and I were both in the press conference on Sunday night, and I asked Bruce about Keegan Colasar and Brett Howden, and he said, I don't know if you caught it, but he made the comment that they both came into camp in really, really good shape.
The best shape.
Now, here is something I did not know, and I found out. Brett Howden and Keegan Colasar work out together in the summer up in Winnipeg. They're close friends.
Yep.
They spend their summers together doing the work. They push each other in the gym to be stronger and better. And listen, if you're Brett Howden and you've got a friend like Keegan Colasar, and you're Keegan Colasar and you've got a friend like Brett Howden pushing you, you're going to have success. Because I think we look at Keegan Colasar as a guy who's become a leader on the team. And Brett Howden quietly, I think, leads. He made a comment the other night in the post game about he had to kind of change his mentality a little bit into being a shoot first guy. He's being rewarded. So I think it's not a shock that those two guys have been, I'll say, the surprises of the season for the Golden Knights, but I think you could make the case that they've probably been 2 of the maybe 3 or 4 best players night in and night out for the Golden Knights.
Unquestionably. Moving on to defense, I think I'll lead. This one's a bit of a conundrum. They seem to have brain farts a lot more frequently in their own zone. Lapses in coverage. We've heard Bruce say more than a couple of times this year that other teams haven't had any problem getting to the good ice. And folks, the good ice is the slot, basically. It's home plate. It's from the crease to the face-off dots to the top of the circles and across, shaped like a home plate in baseball. Teams have been allowed to get to the good ice a lot easier this year than I suspected. The high of the defense for me, Alex Pietrangelo, has been absolutely fantastic.
He's been their best player.
He has arguably been the Alex Pietrangelo that captained the St. Louis Blues to the Stanley Cup a few years ago. Noah Hannafin started sort of slowly, started scoring a couple of goals, and it seemed to have found his game. We don't, the grade is incomplete on Nick Hague. He's been out for quite a while, but he is skating. We don't know if he's traveling with the team, but if he's skating, that means he's probably a week to 10 days out. Braden McNabb is Braden McNabb. Zach Whitecloud is Zach Whitecloud. But overall, as a defense, I think it's probably a B minus. They just, for what we thought was the best top 6 D in the league, and I still maintain that they are when they're healthy, at least in the top 3 or 4, their defensive game has really kind of suffered. And it's not just the D men, it's back, they used to call it backtracking. It's tracking. They seem to be out of position. They seem to not be breaking out the puck as smoothly and crisply. And Bruce changed the breakout a little bit because some of the younger kids were struggling to win board battles. So I think that's the work in progress. So I'm going to go B- on the defense. What do you have, Chris?
Yeah, I'm probably in that general ballpark. I think C plus, B minus. I'll go with the C plus. I think they've been underwhelming at times. I mean, when you look at the core, they should be really good.
Yeah.
And I think I would say for all the pumping up of Noah Hannafin we've done, I'd say he's kind of been disappointing. I expected more production from him. Defensively, I don't see many lapses in his game, but I do see some lapses in Shea's game where he turns the puck over at inopportune times. He had a couple. Was he also the one who had the turnover on the? No, it was not his turnover. It was a bad play by Eichel on Sunday night that led to Ovechkin's second goal.
Yeah, that was a behind the back no look pass across the slot.
But Bruce shift,
said it.
Yeah, and that shift, Shea had a few, I would say, goof ups. He had a goof up a couple nights ago. Maybe it was against Carolina where Golden Knights are on the power play.
Awful.
And
he ended up right in the back of their net.
Yeah, and he misplayed a puck, and so I'm not without criticism of the blue line. They need to be better. If this team's going to win a Stanley Cup, those 6 guys, and it's a unit, so I won't say one guy needs to be better than the other, but I think as a unit, they need to be better. And I think they would tell you that. I think if we asked them and they didn't hold back and, they weren't giving us bullshit hockey speak and coach talk, I think to a man, they would say they need to be better. So I would say this has been the most disappointing aspect of the team so far this season. So I'm gonna go right in the middle. Yeah, surprisingly disappointing.
I'm not worried.
No, they'll get it squared away.
Yeah,
I'm not
worried at all.
When we do this at 40 games or whatever, I think our grade for the defense is going to be a lot different than it is. I don't know if they changed some systems. You mentioned, Bruce changing a couple things for the younger guys. But I think as a unit, and that includes Caden Korczak and Ben Hutton, who will be out for the foreseeable future with an undisclosed injury. We don't know what it was. We know he left the game on Sunday and he did not come back. And per Kelly McCrimmon, he's going to be out a while. So as a team, they have to be better. As a unit, I mean, the blue line has to be better, and they will be. I'm not worried either. Look, it's still early. I think they'll make the necessary adjustments. You've got guys who've won Stanley Cups. You've got guys who are pros, and you've got guys who are incredible players. So they'll be fine.
Next up, okay, goaltending. You lead.
I'm going to go with a B minus. I think Aiden Hill has been good, despite what some of the fans will tell you. They like to point out, oh, well, he allows 4 goals or blah, 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 whatever. Well, Aiden Hill can only be as good as the guys in front of him. And I think if there's breakdowns, some like the other night we saw, it was Samsonov in net, but outside of maybe one goal, there's nothing that Samsonov could have done on that second Ovechkin goal or, the Jacob Chikrin goal. It was a fucking missile. So I think goaltending has been good, but not great. I think obviously Samsonov missing 18 days or whatever it was, not playing in almost 3 weeks. That kind of puts a little more pressure on Hill. I will say in the action we did see of Akira Schmid, I thought he looked really good. Granted, it was a blowout at that point when he came in, but still, I think it's an area that can improve and I think will improve. But I think it's unfair to place a lot of the blame for the losses. Like, I hate that. Oh, well, when we win, the goalie's great. When we lose, the goalie sucks. Like, to me, that's such a shit take. So
So
I
your
think
grade is
B minus.
I'm gonna go C plus. I think that I think inconsistency is sort of the issue, the biggest issue with me. There have been a ton of times, and this is sort of directly relatable to the score we just gave to the defense. There's been a lot of times where Aiden Hill and Samsonov have literally been hung out to dry.
Yeah.
And that is, I mean, we've always said Bruce's system is set up where the goalie just has to make the save every now and then. And for a while, Aiden Hill was not making that save. His game certainly seems to have rounded a bit into form, right? The
Yeah.
numbers, when you think about it, the numbers, to the naked eye, 3.14 and a .875 goals against average, those are not good. But if you look at the top 6 or 7 Connor Hellebuck's in the 890s, 880s, something like that. So is Igor Shesterkin. There's a ton of goalies that are all in that 870, 880, 890, right?
Right.
I don't know if scoring is up. I don't
It
know
is. Yeah. Scoring is up, but I also think, and I haven't looked in the numbers with Winnipeg or New York, but in the case of the Golden Knights, they don't allow a lot of shots. So by virtue of that, you're not going to get a shutout every night. So by virtue of just pure lack of volume of shots, your goals against average is going to be lower anyway, as is your save percentage. But I think,
I think they need more. And the more is consistency.
Well, I
right?
think when you say they need more, what I think of, and this is my take, every once in a while, the goalie has to save something that he probably shouldn't.
Right.
And we don't really get that. We get maybe night in, night out, I would say above average goaltending, but not elite goaltending. You're not getting, Shesterkin or Vasilevsky or Hellebuck or whoever else you want to throw in the elite category. What you're going to get is you're going to get above average goaltending pretty much night in, night out. A guy who goes out and does everything he's supposed to do, but for the most part, nothing above what they need to do. And that's fine, because I don't want a guy out there trying to be a superhero and he makes mistakes.
I think that the goaltenders have not stole a game. They also haven't cost them a game.
Right.
And I think that they're getting slightly above average goaltending. I don't believe as much in save percentages as what my eyes tell me about how they're playing. So I think it's probably a C plus, but I could easily be manipulated into a B minus or something like that. I also think that once the defense rounds itself into shape, the goaltending will improve. That's sort of a cause and effect statement that's
just by correlation.
Really easy to make. Before we head off into the power play, penalty kill, coaching, and the overall grade, let's get a word from the greatest attorney in all of Las Vegas, the man who defends that felon over there, Chris Chapman. A word from Marathon Law Group, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be right back.
I'm here with Joe Riccio from Marathon Law Group. And Joe, sometimes when couples go through divorce, one of the partners will deprive the other partner of visitation with their children. Obviously, this is never a good situation for anybody. So what steps can someone take to maybe deal with this type of issue if it arises?
Well, thanks, Chris. One of the most important things you can do is make sure that you have a court order. And in the state of Nevada, over the last several years, the Nevada legislature has moved towards involving both parents and finding it best for children to be involved, or parents to be involved with both children equally, both on the legal custody and the physical custody side of things. So if you're being denied time or deprived time, whether it's in a court order or not, you definitely want to take measures to prove or at least show the court that you've been making those overt efforts and that the other side has been depriving you.
So maybe like keeping a calendar or something like that and marking when you have visitation with the child, maybe marking when you should and if you don't get visitation on that particular day.
Yeah, absolutely. Not only could you keep a calendar log, but there's applications that the parties can get into without the court for free that allow them to communicate that the court can look at when that time is right. And then there's other mechanisms that you can engage in as well, such as text messaging and emailing and making sure you're keeping those records.
I'm going to lead off with the power play, and it's going to be a really short soliloquy. I think I said soliloquy twice in an episode. My meds must be kicking in. At this point, I would plug a dispensary, but no. The power play is an A. There's no doubt about it. 34%, second behind Winnipeg. Holy shit. It almost makes you forget, what was that guy's name that's with, him. The one that's in Dallas, so who you won't speak his name anymore because it's no fun kicking somebody who's down. But the power play, with the addition of that large human Tomas Hertl and Dorofeyev being a shooter, and when Victor Olofsson comes back healthy, also being a shooter, the big difference in the power play this year is the speed of which they are moving the puck. Last year, it was dust off, pass, dust off, right? Now,
Yeah.
it's like, I think that Bruce put a timer in their head. 1, 2, 3, pass. 1, 2, 3, pass. And the fact that, Tomas Hertl is the key. Having an immovable object in the bumper spot forces the defense out of its either diamond or box formation because he's lethal there. I think he's leading the NHL in power play goals.
I think he's got 5.
And I think it's 6.
6?
But it's a lot, and it's more than anybody else. And the bottom line is, if they can stay out of their own heads and just continue to instinctively move the puck around, there's no reason that it doesn't stay top 2, if not lead the league in power play percentage. Kudos to the coach who's coaching the power play. He's got them clicking. He has both units clicking, in fact. It's an A, and there's really no, I'm not going to even allow too much of a pushback on it.
There is no pushback. It's been the best we've ever seen in Vegas.
Oh, yeah.
So by virtue of that, it's an A. And for all the reasons you laid out, I think they're just going to get better when Olofsson comes back. And I think what we're seeing is a confident team on the power play. Like,
even when they don't score, it looks like they can.
I think they scored a goal in 5 straight games on the power play.
Yep.
They did not score one against Washington, but they did score a 6-on-5 goal on a delayed. So even that,
we call to us that should be a power play. If you have an extra skater against the other team, you have a man advantage. That's what a power play is, man advantage.
So I think we're seeing a confident and good power play unit. Jack Eichel looks like he should. Like, he looks like the best player on the ice when they're on the power play. And
he is.
Exactly. But he's showing it now. And, that was the one element of his game that I thought maybe I wanted to see improvement, was him on the power play. And Eddie, he's like, hey, Chapman, go fuck yourself. I'm going to be the best player in the NHL in the power play. And him and Tomas Hertl are deadly right now.
He told me that, by the way. He told me to tell you to go fuck yourself.
that would make sense. That would make sense. But they're really good. They've been really good, and I think there's no reason for it to be anything other than an A.
All right, the power play is clicking at the penalty kill rather is clicking at a staggering 78.4%. It's 19th in the NHL. You lead.
Yeah, I'd say along with the blue line, it's been disappointing. They should not be bottom half of the league in penalty kill. There's too many good players on this team. I'm going to go with the C. It's been below average. And I think it needs to improve, and I think it will improve. I'm happy. It's funny, right? We're pissing our pants happy with the power play, but we're disappointed in the penalty kill. I think both will eventually. I think the power play for them to remain second in the league is going to be really hard.
I don't think so.
But I think the penalty kill will certainly improve. I think they'll find their way back up into the upper half, probably top 12 of the league before the end of the season. So for right now, I'll say it's disappointing. I'm going to go with a C on the penalty kill. I think they need to be better.
I think it's a C-. When you have Nick Waugh and William Karlsson and Alex Pietrangelo
And Braden
Mark
McNabb.
Stone and Braden McNabb and Jack Eichel killing penalties, 78.4 is just not acceptable. Now, I do believe that there has been a bit of an evolution in the league in power play strategy that I think the defending the power play hasn't quite caught up to yet. But it's not been good enough. There's, we don't sugarcoat shit here, and
No.
we just, we take our lumps if we're wrong, but this has been a glaring weak spot for the Golden Knights. Not even 80%.
Yeah.
And just to address your power play point, I think it absolutely can stay where it is. If they draw 3 penalties a game, scoring 1 goal in 3, I think is incredibly realistic for those 2 units. And when Olofsson comes back, if they push Dorofeyev down to the Ovechkin spot on power play 2, I don't have any problem seeing them staying at that level or at least close to it. But the PK has to be better. They have to be joined better. They have to retrieve and defend better. And it's really it's kind of surprising for a team that prides itself on defense. Yeah, bad bounces happen. But I think if we got a moment of absolute honesty, I think Butch would say he's surprised that it has been as ineffective as it has. And it will improve when Mark Stone comes back in the lineup for sure. But I don't know how much, honestly, not that he's fragile or frail or any of that other happy horse shit. I don't know how much PK time I want him having, especially if the line with Eichel and whoever it may be, Olofsson, Dorofeyev, whoever they put up, if that line continues to be one of the better lines in the NHL, I'm okay with him not really killing penalties too much. Has to improve. To me, it is going to be the lowest grade that I give in any of the categories is performance. So I'm going to say C- with lots and lots and lots of room to improve. I'm going to lead coaching. I said it about 10 minutes ago. I drink the Coach Cassidy Kool-Aid. The fact that he continues to get top level performances, regardless of who's got the sweater on that night. The fact that he has to stir the pot more probably this season than he has ever since he's been here. And some of it has been injuries and some of it has been streaky performances. You have Alexander Holt scoring for 5 games and being pretty invisible. And the fact that he refuses to stand pat and that he relentlessly pursues victory and finding combinations that work, whether it be for a shift or a period or a game or a long-term solution, the fact that he has his hand firmly on the spoon that stirs them and they continue to perform when, frankly, a lot of the league said that their window was closed. They lost all those people we talked about. They lost a boatload of goals. They lost a boatload of chemistry and heart. But you know what? Kelly drafts them, trades for them. Bruce teaches them. Sean Burke brings in new goalies. Sean Farrell rehabs them. John High, right? They just, as a coaching staff, I'm sorry, I'm slurping it. It's an A.
Yeah, I don't really have any issues with the coaching. I think it's been really good. Bruce is an elite coach, clearly. Sean Farrell, he's a guy who stays back and rehabs guys when they're injured. He does a great job with that. Sean Burke, a great goalie coach, very highly regarded. John Stevens has won multiple Stanley Cups as a assistant coach. So, and then of course Joel Ward, who is very highly regarded among circles in terms of maybe having a shot to become a head coach. So the coaching staff is really good. I think they've done a really good job. I mean, they've dealt with some adversity, some injuries to key players at maybe inopportune. Well, I guess there's never really an opportune time for injuries, but you know what I'm saying. And so I think Bruce and the boys have done a really good job. I mean, there's definitely no complaints from my end. So I'll go with an A for coaching as well. I think they have one of the elite staffs in the league, and I think they prove it night in, night out. The strategy always seems to be good. There was a night where Bruce basically took the blame on himself. He didn't say, he said, I didn't do a good enough job of getting the guys ready to play and what to prepare for. He took ownership of it. And I think, look, you need that from time to time from a head coach. And I think he does a great job. I mean, this is a Stanley Cup caliber coaching staff, and they show it night in, night out. So for me, it's an A all the way with the coaching.
So we're not going to recap all the grades. We're 18 games in. We're here on episode 88 of Hockey Nights in Vegas, the first quarter report card episode with Professors Chapman and Rivkin. The Golden Knights are 11-5-2. They have 24 points. They're in first place of the Pacific, 1 point ahead of the upstart Los Angeles Kings. So let's wrap it up with the final grade. All things being what they are, what's the final grade for the first quarter for the Vegas Golden Knights? Professor Chapman, you have the floor.
Well, I think it's a solid B for me. I think unfortunately the blue line and the penalty kill really bring down a lot of the high water marks that have been laid down by the offense and the power play. I think the goaltending has been pretty solid, right in the middle of a B minus. So I think when I look at things overall, I'm going to go with a B. It's hard for me to go A because I think there have been some deficiencies that this team needs to overcome. And I can't go C because they're above average. Like they're definitely way above average in terms of how they play and what their record indicates. I think their record is really right about where it should be. I mean, there's not a lot of nights where you're like, man, these guys just got their asses kicked. I mean, they got their ass kicked by Carolina, but I thought there for long stretches against Washington, despite what the score indicated, they were a better team than the Capitals. I thought they played well in Tampa, and I thought they played well in Florida. We just saw Winnipeg go down there and get absolutely smoked by both of those teams. And Winnipeg was a team that, or is a team that I think a lot of people are looking at as a potential.
Right, so you're going to go with B?
Yeah, I'll go with a B. Yep.
I think I'm going to go with B+, and I'm going to sort of flavor it with there's certainly room to improve, but I think that, in my opinion, they're better than I thought they were going to be. And the fact that when they showed up to camp, the coaching staff really had no idea what they had. Now, I don't believe for 1 second that they've played close to a 60-minute game. I can recall a couple of absolutely dominating periods. I can recall a couple of 40-minute, pretty solid Golden Knights hockey presentations. They haven't quite found their game yet. Consistency is the word I think I've said a dozen times, and I think that will come with repetitions. Like you said when we were talking about the defense, when we do the half season at 40 games, I expect that they will be a lot closer, if not have already found their game, and will really have the identity of the club. We'll have a good grasp of the identity of the club and be able to successfully prognosticate, like we do so rarely, how they are going in the future. So that's going to wrap up the report card. Before we start previewing the longest road trip of the year, let's get a quick word in from my good friend, Dr. John Pierce at Ageless Forever. I'm here with Dr. John Pierce.
We're talking about all the different treatments and all the things that he takes care of here at agelessforever.net. The big thing men are seeing mostly on television these days is low T. Dr. Pierce is going to tell you the compelling reason why testosterone therapy treatment here at Ageless Forever is significantly better. Doc?
We do testosterone therapy with a little more nuance. The guidelines kind of suggest that if your testosterone level is above 300, that you shouldn't get testosterone therapy. And I got a lot of men that come to me that are miserable. They have a lot of symptoms of low testosterone and their level's just a little bit above 300, and we treat them and they feel amazingly better. Their quality of life is better, their home life is better, their work life is better. So, that's the kind of thing that I'm looking to do, is improve people's lives. Come on down, we can test you, and then we can talk about the different options.
I've been on it now for probably pretty close to a year. I didn't realize how bad I felt until I started feeling good. I don't know if that resonates with everybody, but I'm a man of 60. And when Doc said, let's look at your testosterone, and it was a frighteningly bad number, he simply said, I can fix it. I feel so much stronger physically. I feel so much sharper mentally. I feel just, I guess, probably younger is probably the best word. If you feel off, if you're over 40, your testosterone's declining. Send a message, sign up for the free consultation. You need to get some lab work to find out exactly where you're at. I'm proof it works. You owe it to yourself and your significant other to be the best you. www.agelessforever.net. Send a message, take the consultation, be better.
So we've wrapped up the report card. The Golden Knights are headed to Eastern Canada. They have the longest this is a long, strange trip in the words of I think that's the Grateful Dead. Toronto, Ottawa, Montreal, Philadelphia, and Colorado before they get back here for Thanksgiving, and then a couple of games Friday and Saturday right after Thanksgiving when Winnipeg comes to town. This road trip is really going to test them. I think that Toronto without Austin Matthews is a little bit vulnerable, but they're playing very well at home. Ottawa is scrappy. Montreal is garbage. Philadelphia is Tortorella, and for some reason, they always seem to play the Golden Knights pretty tough. And then they close out with a stop in Colorado on the way back here. And Colorado, to me, is the most mystifying team in the league. I just have no idea. So there's 10 possible points up for grabs in the next 10 days. Would you like to make the first prognostication or the second prognostication?
Well, this is a really difficult road trip because it's very, very long, and you've got some stops in there against teams that, one, you absolutely humiliated opening night. Got the Flyers, as you mentioned. Tortorella's team always plays really tough against the Golden Knights. And then you've got the three Eastern Canadian teams. I have a hard time seeing them come away with more than 5. I think 6.
I need a number.
6.
No more of this. No more of this half stepping.
I'm going to go with 6. I think they get 6 points. I think they'll beat Ottawa. I think they'll find a way to beat Philadelphia, and I think they'll beat Montreal. I think they're going to lose to Toronto, and I think they're going to lose to Colorado.
I'm going to be slightly less optimistic and say that a 50-50 road trip would be more than satisfactory. This is, like you said, this is not only is this long, but it's time zones and then a different time zone on the way back. This trip is fairly complicated for them. And I think that obviously this will come to the surprise of nobody who's ever watched hockey in their life. Montreal is the most winnable game of those.
Yeah.
But I think that I would be very comfortable when we come back and recap this road trip. If they got 5 out of 10, pick off an overtime loss, 2 wins and an overtime loss, something like that, I think that's okay. I think that Colorado game is going to be the toughest because they're not quite home, but they're almost home.
Yeah.
And there's always some juice in that game. Who knows what lineup Colorado might ice that night? Who the hell knows who's going to be in goal for them? That's a bit of a circus for sure.
Yeah.
But if they get to, I'll you go with 6, I'll go with 5. I think that I'm okay with that. I really.
Well, here's the problem. The problem is I'm being optimistic. You're being optimistic, but they could come home with 4 or 3. I mean, this is that tough of a road trip where.
Oh, I don't think. Do you think we're drinking the Kool-Aid at 5 and 6 for the first?
No, I don't. I think we're being realistic.
Yeah, I don't think we're drinking the Kool-Aid at all for this.
Like they're not going to come home with 10 points. Like that's just not a realistic
prognostication.
Yes. Yes, that's the word. So I think the important thing is to get off to a good start, and it's arguably the toughest game because Toronto's, as you mentioned, playing really well at home. They're playing well without Austin Matthews. So, and it's never an easy game for the Golden Knights. Like the games with Toronto, like you look at some of the games in Toronto, and they've gotten their ass kicked a couple of times by this Leafs team. And the thing is, Toronto can score in waves, and they can hit you quick. And the key is to not let it get out of hand if they score 1 or 2 goals in the first period, because that third goal is always super important.
Yes.
And I think that's I almost wish they would have started with Montreal, but they start with Toronto. They're on their way there today, Tuesday, as we're filming this.
Yep.
So, they'll maybe get there a little early, get to enjoy a nice dinner, get to bed early, and get up and skate in the morning. And, for some guys, it's a homecoming. For Nick Hague, Alex Pietrangelo, they didn't grow up too far from Toronto. So for those guys, I don't know if Nick Hague's on the trip, but it's a homecoming for them. So it's an important game. It's an important game for the Golden Knights because I feel like it's a measuring stick game because you haven't played a lot of, I would say, elite teams.
I would say they haven't played well against the elite teams that they've played.
Right. Well, Colorado, I think I would put in the category of an elite team.
Nope.
But you haven't seen the Stars yet. You haven't seen the Jets. You have seen Tampa and Florida. And I think you played fairly well against both of those teams on the road. Carolina, you didn't look so hot against the Hurricanes.
All right. So you're going to stick with 6. I'm going to stick with 5. That's going to wrap up episode 88. We want to thank our sponsors, obviously, LasVegasAdvisor.com, AgelessForever.net, MarathonLawGroup.com. But the biggest thanks comes from us to all of you. We have over 300 subscribers right now. Viewership is at an all-time high. I'm just overwhelmed with the support. Sure, the free tickets help. We're shameless whores and we'll peddle whatever we have to peddle to get you to like and click.
Yeah, I didn't even ask you how dinner was at El Dorado Cantina.
Dinner at El Dorado with Jennifer was fantastic. I highly recommend the food. It is attached to the world's largest strip club, but if you go through the strip club to go to the restaurant, you are intending to go to the strip club because they're not connected. Just a little pro tip from Uncle Eddie. But a sincere thank you. I can't believe that we're coming up on the 100th episode, and our good friend Joe, who's no longer with us, and Lindsay and all the other people that we've had on the episodes over the years. This is milestone stuff. We're going to give away some more tickets here pretty soon.
Yep.
You can bank entries. We keep a list of everybody who enters, all the times that they entered, and it's just a hat and a drawing. We're not smart enough to do that technical spinny wheel online thing. But if you like the podcast and you share the podcast, we'll put you back in the drawing for the next game. We should be able to tell you when that is in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah.
but we're expecting to have 3 or 4 more ticket giveaways during the regular season. So on behalf of Chris and I, sincerest thanks for spending some of your hard-earned time with us. We hope that you enjoy the content. I can't really add much more to that other than HockeyNightsVegas.com. That's where you can find us. Oh yeah, we can plug Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts. Anywhere you get a podcast, you can find us. The key is going to HockeyNightsVegas.com because that's where the link tree is, and you can find where you can listen to us if you don't want to see us, which makes total sense to both of us.
Listen, my fat face, you definitely don't want to see that. Yeah.
But thank you again. Episode 88 is in the books. We'll be back again next week, halfway through the road trip, and we will see you again soon. Thanks again, folks.